years, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be just constantly available and chipper to everybody I see, you know? And so like, there's that aspect to it too, that I find like, I'm just not that guy anymore. Like that guy's dead. You know, that chapter's over and there's really no need to go back.
Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back. I don't know what episode we're on. Fuck. Was it 17? Never yet.
I say 69. Go with episode 69.
Cool. We are at episode 69.
69. Yes.
Yep. We're just going to skip whatever number it was. We're going to go to that one and then just continue from wherever we left off. So this is episode number 69.
Next one after this is 420. Right. If we can come up with another stupid number like that.
I was going to say it, but it's not. Nope. Yeah. That's not a good one. It's the one that first thought in my head. I was like, ooh, stop now. Don't talk. Anyways. Welcome back, guys. This is Paul Vigliotta. If you guys don't know, he already spoke. Usually most people don't speak for like the first 5 minutes. He went right into it, and that's how I know it's going to be a great podcast with you guys today. Paul's a great friend of mine. We met at a gym, Club H in downtown Jersey City. He worked for one in Hoboken prior. I always felt like Paul was like the general manager. I didn't know, like in the beginning, he was general manager to me because he knows everything about the business. He knows everything from the computer to housekeeping to how the fucking sauna worked and to train. And then he started learning training. You know, that's one, right? That was the one thing he didn't really get into. And now he fucking filled that. Like he could have did anything. And then you went to training just to like, let me get every aspect possible of how to run a gym.
The only thing I didn't do was sales, but I kind of did a little bit of that.
Yeah, you did training. Like training is sales. You know, like gym membership sales. Yeah,
like, gym membership sales. We had that one manager, Ted. And Ted, you and Matt were probably my first mentors in this.
Mm-hmm.
And Ted was brilliant. And Ted just one day, like I was, you know, doing maintenance stuff and I was training under Jason Richards.
Yes.
And
and
he just, and he came up to me and he's like, you problem solve really well. I was like, hey, thanks. He's like, have you ever thought of training? I was like, no. But at that point in time, like I was interested in learning how to work out, how to lift, how to program for myself, you know, and not knowing that the size of that beast that I was trying to slay, you know, because training is not, I think one of the things most people don't understand about personal training is that, yes, you can get certified really quickly and go out there and start, you know, working your craft. But in all honesty, the first 5 years of personal training, you're a new trainer and you don't know shit. You really don't. You know, because you're expected to know everything about everything, and you basically don't know what the hell you're doing for the first 5 years. And that's not just on the coaching part, but it's, you know, all the other stuff that comes with it. And coaching itself is its own skill set. Selling is its own skill set. And so to get proficient at any one of those things can take you alone 1 or 2 years and trying to encompass this thing. And gyms are, you know, expecting you to figure this out right away and go for it. And so thankfully I had you, I had Linwood, Randy was good, you know, and everybody kind of took me under their wing, and then I just listened. I think that was the one thing I did more than anything else is I'm like, let me just soak in everything. A skill I learned it from bartending, because at the time I bartended, I didn't drink. And so people would be like, so what's this beer like? I'm like, gross, because I don't like beer, but I couldn't say that. So I listened to all the other bartenders when they would, you know, throw their spiel. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a Sam Adams, but a little lighter, you know, and come up with shit like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
that's
so,
a smart way.
Yeah. You know, somebody once, I had a few jobs in my life. One was in hotel management. I worked for a labor contract company. And so we would walk up to, well, not really walk up like out of the blue, but we would be dealing with a hotel, a specific hotel usually, and we offer our services. And then during the contractual part of it, we would sit down and we'd talk with the hotel management, see what they wanted and try to craft some kind of contract out of it. And the best manager, hands down, I ever had was this guy named Dan Cowens. And God, did I learn a lot of life lessons from him, but and business lessons. But one of them was when you're in like having a contractual discussion like that. He's like, the person who speaks the most is not the winner. He's like, just listen, and then you can formulate what you need to formulate and do what you need to do. And that kind of made me just listen a lot more. And so that just kind of trickled down through everything else I've done, where it's just like, all right, I have to learn a lot and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm smart enough to try to figure some of this stuff out and then, you know, figure it out and then ask a lot of questions or just listen. And you guys would, you know, totally like nerd out and talk about training. Linwood was notorious for talking about training.
Yeah.
You know, every now and then we'd come up and be like, yeah, so with the origin of the psoas, he's like, oh yeah, it's over here, you know, and he knew exactly. I was like, I'm never gonna, I still, you know, I got this thing behind me. I couldn't tell you where the origin is.
Right.
I can tell you where the psoas is.
Right.
And I only learned how to spell psoas about 3 years ago. I've been doing this for almost 15 years.
Definitely didn't know it spelled that way.
Yeah. Oh, there's a P in there. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
the silent
absolutely.
P. Why didn't I think of the silent P?
P-O, right? No.
It's P-S. Yeah, it's psoas.
Linwood is a monster in technicality, like technical detail. Like you can just tell just by the way he dresses, like he puts his socks on in detail, you know, like he definitely was one great guy to learn. And when he ran like the anatomy class, we had like weekly coaches classes pretty much, and he'd always go over anatomy. Yeah. And it might have been the same thing over and over again, but it was like so detailed.
You always got something new from it. And you walked away and you know, Matt doing like the squat classes on squats and deadlifts, and you know, and you sit there and you're like, all right, and this is how you learn. And the gyms that do that are great.
Right.
Thinking about this conversation that we're having now, you know, yesterday coming up into this today, you know, one of the things I was thinking about is like, man, like my profession is filled with idiots and it's filled with people who are new. And the idiots are usually the people who aren't out to make this a career. You know, this is filling time until they figure out what they want to do. Or, you know, they've got a second gig and they're doing this to make money, but it's their second gig that they're, you know, and I look at those people and I'm like, you know, that kind of sucks. You know, it's like that, I think, with any profession where you have people who really can give you your profession a bad name. But that's something now, you know, pushing 50 with all this years behind me where I'm like, you know, it unsettles me a little bit more than it used to. You know, where I'm just like, I wish this was more of a career choice for people as opposed to a landing spot.
Right.
You know, and I am a multi-dimensional person like yourself. I got a lot of different things. My goal, my 5-year plan is to get my master's in psychology. Merge the two, because I don't believe that we're spending enough time looking at the emotional impact and cause of obesity.
Yep.
And I'm sure you've experienced it where you keep hitting the same mental and emotional roadblocks with clients and you don't know how to reach them because it's not our job as coaches. And that's a different branch of, you know, it's really therapy that they need to deal with whatever they're dealing with and those big blocks. And it's so hard as a coach because, you know, if you're a halfway decent coach, you actually care a lot about your clients. And the longer you've had the client, the, you know, the bigger that rapport, the bigger you care about them. And I've just gotten to the point now where I'm like, okay, with all the crap that I've gone through in my own life and understanding mental health the way I do now.
Right.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm in the perfect spot to bring these two branches of very different, but also very similar stuff. You know, one of my clients texted me last week and she was just like, I was just telling one of my friends, you're like one of the greatest coaches ever and a really good therapist. And I'm like, well, that's really sweet of you, but that's only because, oh my God, it's on the loose.
What happened?
Buddy.
I'm gonna say hi.
Buddy.
I'm gonna come here. Get over here. Say hi. Hi. Say I got boogers in my nose.
I got buttons in my nose.
Okay, good.
Yes, you do.
Buddy.
I will get buddy. What are you smoking crack? Hold on. Jesus Christ. Psychiatrist. Such a good idea. Such a good idea. If I was smart,
Thanks,
to like do school stuff, hands down, would have been. I would say that would be the best thing if someone was really serious. Like fuck, like getting a master's in anatomy, unless you like really want to like go into that detail, like sports profession, and get into that energy system. That's a really smart take, because that's all you are. Like, you as a trainer, you're like not an underpaid therapist, but you're there just to listen and respond.
Yeah, it's one of my sales techniques, especially for women who are getting married and getting ready to get married, has always been, listen, the next several months are going to get more and more stressful as you get closer to the wedding. And so what's going to end up happening is this hour is spent solely about you, for you. It's your hour. And so what's going to end up happening is this is going to be the one time where people aren't asking you, like, what silverware do you want to use? And where are you going to put Aunt Jean because she doesn't get along with Uncle Bob, and the whole 9 things, that come with planning a wedding and 2 families and whatever else that goes on with that crap.
Right.
But yeah, that's what a session is. It's an hour you get for you.
Right.
And it's almost impossible once movement starts that your clients aren't going to start talking about their, more personal sides of their life. Sometimes to the extent that I started looking around going, kind of trying to yank on the parachute cord going, I'm not ready for this kind of detail.
Right.
The
seat. What'd you say?
Only going. Well, right now as a freelance trainer, it's like I'm going to people's homes and dealing with them in their space. And so when they start, I can't get into the specifics of what's going on right now with a client of mine, but it's all of a sudden there's a few characters involved, and I know them, and I'm like, this is a little too Melrose Place for me. But I still have to be professional and do my thing. But there's a lot of pieces moving, and I'm like, if you were coming to the gym, this would be easier.
Right. Because,
I don't know all the secondary characters personally. I now know all these people personally, and I have to pretend like I don't know this about them. And you,
right. But you do. What the fuck?
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So that's no. Hey, listen. It happens. You should know that. When you're not paying attention and you go off. By the way, talking about little bitch. She's adorable and like so breathtakingly cute. And I'm like, I wonder if God at some point in time was like, we should make children really, really cute so that their parents don't kill them when they get really annoyed.
Yeah. You might be right. You might be right.
Because I'm looking at her like, God, she's really cute, but I'm like, yeah, watching my brothers raise their kids, I'm like, I think that's a self-defense mechanism.
Yes, it's that time. It's that age group, 1 to 17. You want to fucking punch them in their mouth. You're fun. Yeah. You're fun.
Yeah, like this is not my first rodeo doing one of these. But I just kind of like went into this going like, this will be entertaining. Like I was telling one of my morning clients today about it. I'm like, it's just gonna be fun. Like Pete and I, like when we used to teach class, I had so much fun teaching class with you. Right. And it was just ridiculous. Like enjoyment, and we always kind of fed off of each other.
Right.
I think at that point in time, there was that undercurrent that neither of us were addressing within our own lives,
right,
which also helped bring us together.
Right.
Because I think we're both ignoring the shit that needed to be addressed.
Right.
But there was always that kind of sense of, at any point in time, if either of us had to get serious and really like say something, the other person would have been right there.
Right.
You know, and, you know,
Right.
it was never like just like, ooh, let's go goof around.
No, you're like, that's not a good idea. Like, that's
Yeah.
not a good idea. It's like, okay, you're right.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. The Elsner story of waking up when he woke up and came into like take our class that one summer where he wore all velvet.
Yeah.
You know, and he was, you know, he was 22, woke up in his car, still drunk, took our class, and you and I were like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Or like, we had that one weird, strange member who, during like one of the member appreciation nights where they had wine, tried to take our class, like, hammered.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And
Oh
you
shit.
and I looked at each other and we were like, you can't come in here. She's like, no.
She can't do this. Yeah.
And like she could barely speak. And I'm like, I don't think anybody's insurance is covered for this.
No. We had to actually tell her not to come in. Like, she wasn't allowed to come in. She was trying. And she was like holding, I remember she was holding the glass of wine still. She was fucking sloshed up. It was like 5. No, our class was at 7 on like Tuesday or something like that. Thursday.
Yeah, it was a busy night. Yeah,
it was a busy night. Yeah. She came in, wine. Everyone else was like,
wine. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Big lady that was training with John Joffrey, because I remember she used to like walk from Jersey City to Hoboken to get Benny's large pizzas. And she's like, yeah, the walk will cancel out. I'm like, girl, that's like a third of a pie per slice. I'm like, you gotta walk up to Fort Lee and cross the bridge to get rid, and you know, and oh my God.
Oh man.
There's not a lot of things that I remember from back then, but a couple of things are just like so like, oh my God.
Right. Too ridiculous.
Getting yelled at by Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. Love you, Matt. Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's the movement, man.
It's getting easier. Yeah, it's just adjusting. It's adjusting. Ever since I started stand up, it's way easier. It's way easier. My mind is not thinking about everything else I've been thinking now for a long time. So I've learned. I've come to the position that like when I really love it, you know, and I know I loved it just as much as training, but I had to do it.
Yep.
You know, I just had to get out there and do it. And like I see myself, I could do it every night if I could, but I'm not gonna, because I fucking wake up at 3 and don't get home till like I have the worst sleeping schedule in the planet. Yeah. But otherwise, adjustments. We're by ourselves, and that's it. So like, oh no, we can do this, and we can't do a lot of things because we got to carry 2 kids, 2 dogs. We can't just leave, you know.
Yep.
So that's all right. Yeah, I'm sure you know.
I know a bunch of that stuff. I mean, at this point in time, I would tell you that most of my friends have moved away from here. So like, I don't have, you know, I can't just reach out and be like, hey, what are you doing tonight? You know.
Right.
The guy upstairs is like really one of my only friends in town, and everybody else is out of state.
Right.
You know, it's like all my really good friends like are all out of state. So, you know, I mean, granted, I know where to go get food and stuff, and can hop into the city.
Right.
But you know, I'm pushing 50. I'm single, and I'm like, all right, what do I do with my downtime?
Right. You know? Right. Netflix so far.
Yeah, and then there's also the added benefit that people suck.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm like, do I really want to go like mingle?
Right.
I do have that. Like, that's really like an issue with me. Like, you and I can talk to a wall. We can walk into a room. We can own that shit.
Right.
Like that. Like, easy peasy.
Right.
But it's at the same point in time, it's like, do I want to do that? And do I want to put in that kind of work?
Right.
Because that's work, man. And
do you want to? You can fucking flip a room. You can flip a room around.
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
You know, and I can't, at this point in time, everything is ROI, return on investment.
Right.
How many hours am I going to put into this in order to get what I want out of it?
Right.
And is it worth it?
Right.
Because, you know, I'm chronically ill, which I'm sure we'll get into. And my energy is, you know, I'm sitting here with a glass of chocolate milk because I know that in a half hour, 40 minutes, I could be really hurting if I don't intake some food because my muscles are constantly spasming. And so I'm blowing through calories. So my energy is the most, you know, my energy and my time are the most valuable things I got.
Right.
So,
yeah.
As much fun as I can have and as much as I enjoy talking to people, at the same point in time, I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to. What's your favorite color?
Right.
What do you do for fun?
Right.
And that's just, just normal conversation with people.
Right. It's normal jabber. It's you gotta do it, but it's like you really gotta talk about your tattoo too.
I also feel like our job with coaching is that we give our time, we give our energy, we give our personality to whoever we're with. And when you work in a gym for 13, 14, 15 years, you have to do that to everybody. Your time isn't yours. Right. You are personally available to everybody about you. And so freelancing for the past 4 years, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Right.
I don't want to be just constantly available and chipper to everybody I see, and so like there's that aspect to it too, that I find like, I'm just not that guy anymore. Like that guy's dead. That chapter's over and there's really no need to go back.
It's true. Like it's so, and you already said like you have pretty much limited energy throughout the day, right, like to waste it on, not say nonsense, but like for like, I get it. Yeah. Mingling. You said mingle. Like, oh, I don't want to mingle with nobody.
I will hang out with my friends and act as a fool in a heartbeat because that's just fun. But it's like,
I don't know. I picture you dancing right now.
You could do a lot of that.
Yeah, that's it. I literally picture you dancing and you have a white towel. That's what I pictured right now. You said.
That sums up most of that period of my life.
Yeah. So let's talk about that real quick. Let's go into a little bit more of pretty much when I left Club H, or was it Club H? Yeah, it was Club H still, right? It wasn't base. Yeah, it was Club H.
Not yet.
And then we opened up Krank. Me and Paul ran a class called Krank with a C.
You named it.
Yes. You named it based off Jason Statham. Yes.
Yes. I thought it was a great name. After you left, I tried to come up with a name similar.
Yeah.
And the gym wouldn't let me do it because they were like, the drug references are too much. I'm like, you pansies.
Come on, man. It's too much.
I'm like everything you and I have done for the past 4 years have been too much. You're worried about this?
Right. We've broken door windows. We've broken glass. We've ripped and put holes into the walls, which I thought were a lot better than paper mache. Fucking we broke some guy's nose. Well, we didn't break it. He broke it.
Our first class, we'll never forget, because I'm still like wet behind the ear, new at training, let alone like doing group X class. And we had probably a solid 40 people in that room.
Yeah.
And we had this slam ball that you had made out of a basketball, sand, and duct tape. And we had it just, everyone's going around. It was like 30 seconds of work with the 15-minute break, and you go around the circle, and each station is a different movement. And by the time I think halfway through that first round, sand was just popping out all over the place. And so we had to get a different ball that was weighted. We turned the music off. We tell the class, listen, we're replacing this slam ball that does not bounce with a ball that bounces. Be aware. Not knowing that everybody's tired and probably not paying a damn attention. And 5 people in, the guy bounces the ball as hard as he can into the floor, thinking it's not going to bounce, and it bounces and hits him square in the nose.
So hard.
And you and I were just like, oh, God damn it, they're screwed. And so we're trying to deal with that and deal with 40
other people and 40 different exercises.
and trying to keep track of time, because we're screaming like, stop, go, every 30 and 15 seconds. And like 3 or 4 people after him, like some lady did the same thing and hits her in the rib, and she's like, oh, and she's on the side. we walked out of that room going, well, that was a good run of it, huh? We got one class under our belt.
That was fun.
And our manager, Michelle Ward, was like, that was the greatest class I've ever seen. And you and I are looking at each other like, we broke so many things.
You didn't see that? You didn't see the guy bust his nose open like the 4th of July? It's like,
we broke.
He's a French dude, right? He's French. Wasn't he French?
She's like, oh, no, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
He smashed his nose. The girl broke her rib.
Can't imagine why.
But the rest of the 38 had a grand old time. Grand old time.
Yes. Everybody thought it was, yeah. And then somehow we kept the class, and monumental learning curve for me. It was huge. Like, really got to understand how to set up a class, how to like do it.
Right.
Because we started with like paper and like
right.
a pen and going, okay, this station's going to be here. And we're going to do this. And this station's going to be there. And then after a while, it was just like, oh, let's just wing this crap. Like, let's stop planning this. And, you know, and that's when you really get good at it.
Right.
The monster's back.
She's back. She's good. Yes. It's, I forgot that and we actually even drew a template of it. Like, as we start to progress, instead of like drawing it over and over again, we put the template. Like, okay, here's the door, and we're gonna do this here. We got to be really efficient, just so we know, because we forget.
Well, and there was, in the beginning, we were doing like 40, 50 people in a room. Yes. And so it was like, how many exercises are you going to be able to pull out of your ass?
Right.
You know, and after a while, you could do it. But in the beginning, you're like, how do you slay the beast, man?
Right. And I didn't want to do like that normal circuit, you know, where I'd want to do the one where it was like, you do like 5 people doing push-ups, 5 people doing squats. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see fucking like Rob, because Rob Moscow introduced that model, which is from Juan Carlos Santana.
Yep.
But, you know, he put his spin and then we put our spin. And it was just such a great concept that I didn't like, there's so many people, but we didn't want to change like how we're doing it. And so it was pretty much chaos. It was chaos.
It was controlled chaos. And then, you know, adding different exercises, like, let's try this. And what's his name? I can't think of his name, who was like the ex-collegiate football player, and you have like that giant pad and people running into you, and you're like, you know, Torres.
Oh, Torres, yeah.
You know, and you had that big like martial arts kicking pad.
Yes.
You know, and it's like,
I was making him do chest pass. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, do football drills on it.
You know, and people were running, and then Torres, who actually played collegiate football, like came in. It's like, and there goes Pete across the room. You know, and then you hand me the thing. It's like your turn. I'm like,
forgot about that.
Here's a 200-pound.
This is gonna be a great idea. You went from like Asian Jen to fucking the linebacker.
Right. The 95-pound.
It's not that serious. It's Saturday.
Yes. And you know, and there's always that one guy who just needs to go full out with everything he does.
Yes. That was it.
Although I think in that case, Torres was just like, fuck these 2 idiots. And just was like, he's like, I'm gonna mess these guys out.
He hung out for a while. He took like every class. I ended up training him too, and then he ended up coming to Krank for a while too. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I can't believe that class, man. That was a lot of fun. You know what it did teach you? It taught you a lot of time management too, like being under the belt and knowing like, okay, this is an hour class. We have this many people. This is how many rounds we could fit in, but we got to get it fit. You know, it's like sometimes we went over because there was too many. Yeah. But sometimes we it was pretty
and I think the thing I liked most about it was that nothing was in concrete.
No.
So like if we wanted to change the form, we could change the form.
Right.
You know, and because it was controlled chaos, there was no expectation of people coming in going, this is exactly what I'm expecting. It's kind of like, what do these idiots have planned for us?
Right.
And that gives you an immense amount of freedom to just go, you know what? We're going to change this up completely.
Right.
And so it becomes a place to experiment.
Yeah, man. It was like a lab.
It was. And it made sense that you went from that to Krank. Like it was, the evolution was just,
Right.
When you left, that was like, that was tough for me because like I said, you were one of my mentors, but you and I were pretty tight when we were working together.
Right.
To like all of a sudden, like, and not for nothing, your personality is not small.
Right.
You, my little fire plug of a man,
right.
you know, like
I'm annoying.
You're not annoying.
It get to the point of like you didn't know me, and it's like 5 a.m. and I'm screaming for no reason, or like singing "Rise Against." They're like, "What the fuck is going on in here?"
There's like 3 songs that are still like, yes,
yeah.
Rise Against, 30 Seconds to Mars.
30 Seconds
like 3
to Mars.
songs that are just like
yes,
Pete in 2007 or 8 or 9 or whatever it was, and I'm like, oh, so great.
Yeah, man.
But like when you left, looking back, like at the time I didn't recognize it, but yeah, I was definitely depressed by it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is a huge void. And you were like, you know, that person I could go to and bullshit with and commiserate. And, you know, we made each other laugh constantly.
Yeah.
You know, we trained together with the stupid sled out front. You know, we had that stupid little tree we used to puke next to. And
yes. It'd be you, me, and sometimes Sarah. Well, who moved in Florida.
Yeah.
Henderson? Yes. Yeah. So it depended who wanted to join us in the early morning. Like we'd have like a break, and then we do prowlers outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was great.
Yes. It was great.
And, you know, both of us just kind of looking at each other like, you want to stop? I'm like, I don't know. Do you? Let's do a couple more. Okay.
Yes.
You know, well, you know, being just idiots. But yeah, you know, like there wasn't another you that came along. I was in that gym for another 10 years or something like that after that. And
right.
I never got that again, you know, and to a certain extent, you kind of sit there and you hunt for people like that you can, you know, get close with, that you have similar needs and interests and, you know, I guess zest for living, if you like. It just, you know, just never came back around.
Right.
Yeah. So every time you went to go fix something,
yeah,
I've grabbed this stupid thing that I bought years ago, and you'll just see its head just.
What is that thing? It's the best. Is it squishy? I want to go and look at it. Oh my god, it's like a slosher. That got to be great to use in Zooms. It's got to be the best. It's got to be the best.
I just recently found it. It's one of those things that like I bought, and I'm like, why do I have this? And every time I think about that, and I put it away someplace to go throw it out, I'm like, I can't throw this out.
No.
I don't know why.
No, you can't.
For a decade.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. No.
Yes.
No. I love it. I loved how he sneaks up. It's like, I'm gonna get a puppet now. I gotta get a puppet.
Yeah, it's all about the application.
I gotta drink your shake. All right, man. So let's talk about that. Like I said, we're talking about like how I left the gym, and I didn't want to leave the way I did, but they ended up letting me go, but with right cause. I kind of started a business on the side, and I was trying to do it part-time and still work at the gym without them knowing. But social media is your marketing, and obviously, you know, I'm a pretty decent marketer, and they saw it, and I guess, you know, they have to do what they got to do, and it sucked because then it was like, oh, I didn't get to say goodbye to like anybody, or I would sneak in earlier to do some stuff and then leave. But it's true. It's depressing. For me, like I got busy, so I didn't have time to feel any emotions. For you, fucking even like Nat was working there still at the time, you know, and she couldn't. Yeah, she was just like, it's not the same. You could just see like how down it is, especially when you are a fire plug or you are, you know, a lead person inside a gym. It's just, you're just fucking. Is anything else? Like your best friend just left, you know? It's like that's how it felt like with me. And like, I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly how it felt. Was like, okay, now what? You know, and there was no like, I wasn't angry or anything like that. It was just, there's this giant void, and there's, you know, it's like losing anybody you care about. Right. When they're gone, like, you know, there's a void, and you can't just fill it just with anything. Right. You know,
Yeah.
And so it sucked. And so it took several months to kind of like get into a groove of being on my own. Because now, like, that was another thing. Like, how do I do this by myself?
Right.
You know,
Right.
you know, there was good support there, and I had friends there, but yeah, it was just tough. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like any other big life change that we all go through. But that I remember looking back and just being like, you know, like just saddened by it. Like, you know, I used to get jazzed going to the gym, and then I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And then, you know, and then at some point in time, like also like you know, business becomes business, and that place I should have left it about 2 years before I did.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were finally like, why did you not come back? You know, I was like, I probably should not have come back a couple of years ago.
Right.
Yeah, when I started freelancing, I was really about, okay, I want to start a blog. I want to do this. What do I want to talk? You know, what am I going to chat? What's this going to be about? I'm like, I don't want to do fitness. I want to do something else. I was going to just do this while I figured that out. And then it finally dawned on me, like, no, dipshit, you really love doing this stuff. The problem is you got disenfranchised with where you used to work and not with the industry as a whole, and what, you know, you doing this on your own.
Wow.
You know, I think, you know, you and I needed to create our own pathways. Like, some people are really good about a structured system and working within a certain confine that somebody, you know, tells them that they have to work within. And then there are other people that just don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Right.
And it's like, it's tough for us to, you know, perform like a monkey.
Right. Right.
And that's kind of what you end up doing for somebody else constantly. You know, like, dance, monkey, dance. Well, okay.
Right.
You know,
we'll pay you more money. How high? You know, it's like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, like, I want to make my own Kool-Aid. What if we took these two flavors and put them together?
Right.
Better. Right.
For me, it's like, I do this because I genuinely give a shit. I genuinely care. You know, I usually have 1 or 2 clients a year that are pro bono, because I don't think this should be a luxury. I really don't. I think this should be encompassed into some kind of social medicine. That's what this is. And, you know, I'm trying to keep people from getting to the point that they get sick, from getting to the point that they're going, you know, they have to go through all these like medications and doctor visits. You know, this shouldn't be something that is hard to reach for people. And so it bothers me that it is for, you know, so many people. And I could charge twice what I do hourly, for sure, my experience. But I'm like, that's not what this is about. You know, I have to pay my bills. But that also means that I'm probably not a golden star employee, because I'm not looking for the gym's benefit. You know, I wasn't, and that was one of the biggest issues that Jim and I had, was that, you know, I was giving people free sessions at the time, and they thought I was taking money from them. I'm like, you know, no, because this isn't about this is not a monetary thing for me.
Right.
I genuinely believe that those with have a responsibility to assist those without. And when it comes to knowledge, it's very much about that, you know. And so I try to give my knowledge to as many people as I can, you know, and yell at people who know me, who have like sport injuries or have questions. And I'm like, why are you not reaching out to me? Like, I'm just sitting here watching Netflix and playing on my computer. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm more than happy to give as much information to people as I can. You know, you and I have seen so many things, both personally and as professionally as coaches, that it's like we should be a reference to people.
Right.
You know, my 2 best friends who are like avid runners, one's having severe knee pain, and I'm like, at what point in time did you think not to reach out to me about this? You know, like, what the hell? I've known you since I was 7. Like, maybe just pick up the phone and instead of telling me the stupid fart joke that you always do, like reach out and go, hey, by the way, my knee's beginning to hurt me, consistently when I go running. Okay, well, have you tried this? It could be that. I've seen how you move and I actually know what's going on.
Right.
We can diagnose you, but now you have to go to see an orthopedist so he can tell you that you tore your meniscus because you're an idiot. Didn't reach out to me 4 months ago.
Most people don't want to do anything until it's the last minute or the last straw.
Yeah. I will go to the grave saying the worst athletes to deal with tend to be CrossFitters and runners in that order. Yes. Because they both have this mentality of like pushing through.
Right.
And not understanding that every human body has an ebb and flow. We have times when we have a lot of energy and times when we don't. There's a hormone cycle for men, just like there is for women. It's not as severe, but it's there. And so you can't just assume that you have to go crush every workout. That's just asinine.
Right.
Right. You come into if we're doing a session together, first thing I'm going to ask you, how you doing? Tell me about your day, because I want to know where your head's at. I want to know where your emotions are at. And then I'm going to ask you how your body's feeling. Because then I can sit there and go, this is what we're going to work on today. Some days we're going to fucking try to, bend the planet in half. And other days we're going to take it real slow. Because that's where you're at. If your head's in it, great. Your head isn't, but your body is. Okay, we can work with that, but I have to make sure that I'm keeping you here. And then there's other times when you feel like hell. The other thing I don't think that gets talked enough about, you're loving this shit.
I'm fucking love 100%. I wrote down like 3 things, right?
I think one of the things that, especially lately, I really learned, one, we've always known that diet is the number one thing. Don't care what your goal is in life. Get your diet squared away, you can get there. Right. Easier said than done. I'm not saying that the diet's the easy part. I'm saying understanding what you're supposed to do is easy. Implementing it's usually like, trying to eye a needle during a hurricane on a boat. Like it's just hard.
Right.
But the other thing that I've really realized is right after diet comes sleep. And there's times when, I have clients and they're like, had 2 or 3 days of bad sleep, go home.
Right.
We're not doing the session.
Right.
I'm like this at this point in time, it's detrimental to you.
Right.
And then it's the workout. I prioritize everything that way.
That's the smartest thing you could ever do. And agreed with the CrossFit, not downplaying CrossFit at all. The running, like they guilty as charged, right? A lot of times I'm doing it out of emotion. And that's how I dealt with a lot of my pain, right? I just wanted more. And I believe, but they funnel, a good coach would know that maybe should pull back on some days. What you said before was super important, and how you start your sessions. For anyone that's a trainer, if you're a personal trainer or want to, and you don't do this now, in the long run, you're no longer going to be around because you're going to lose your clients. Asking how are you doing is hands down, the most important part of the session, because that will tell you where to go. That'll give you the direction, the road. Most people don't, and they make it about them, and they're just like, who's the next client? And needs to go through the paper, they go foam roll. All right, go on a treadmill for 5 while they eat lunch. And then they come downstairs, they give them a bunch of exercises that really don't make sense to someone that's already hurting, but they don't know, nor are they going to tell you, right? Your client's not going to tell you, just like your client was going to tell you the information, right? So your friend won't tell you that he's hurting. But it's just that thing, like just asking. If you genuinely care, just ask the fucking question. It'll help you out so much.
And it establishes trust with your client, so that down the road, your client will actually tell you what's up. We'll tell you that we'll tell you this. It allows them to begin to go, okay, this is about me. Again, what's that hour about? It's not about me coaching. It's about you and getting a workout for you. I'm here to facilitate that.
Right.
80% of my job is accountability. It's just me making sure you show up. It's all about you.
Right.
And that's one of the things that, over the years, I stress more and more. We have bad days where we're really pissed. Okay, let's go beat something up, because that's going to feel really good. We get your heart rate going, we get those emotions out. And then there's times where it's just like you're not there because you know, going through a big moment in your life and you're concentrating on like a move or something big, and you know, that's taking your broadband, and that's where your mental focus is. Okay, well, that allows me to know how to coach you with that. You know, how to pull you out from that, you know, and pull you into an exercise, and then let you go back out into that, and then know that I don't have to talk to you for this whole hour because you're obviously sitting there doing like heavy math in your head.
Right.
You know, and that's absolutely okay because again, this is your hour. You know, this isn't about me. Like, you know, I'm fine with where my ego is, but you know, I don't need to, I'm going to get paid regardless.
Right.
But, you know, it behooves both of us if I do this smartly and allow you to be where you're at and adjust to that. You know, and that's something that, again, that goes back to that idea that it's a personal trainer. The first 5 years, you suck at your job.
Right.
You know, you really do. You know, that takes a lot of experience. That takes a lot of understanding. You know, this winter will be my 11th year anniversary of becoming chronically ill. And, you know, one day it's like, it wasn't really one day, it was a span of about 6 months where my energy kept going down more and more and more, and couldn't lift. So I started doing more like prowler work, and that got tougher, and then couldn't even do that. And I tried running home one day, just 2 miles, got home and felt like I've never felt so shitty in my life. And then couldn't get out of bed for the next 5 days. Sure. And that was when it became painfully obvious that something was massively wrong. And then spent the next roughly 2.5 years of my life all but bedridden, you know, where I'd have a couple hours out of the day. You know, I kept 1 or 2 clients, would take everything I had in that day to go see them.
Right.
You know, on the way back, the brain fog would be so bad, the exhaustion would be so bad that I would have to spend all the remaining bits of energy I had just to know where my bus stop was. Because if I missed my bus stop and went 1 step farther away, that meant that I had to walk that extra, you know, 1/18 of a mile.
Right.
And that's excruciating. You know, I've walked with a cane for over 3 years. You know, and I would tell you that while I think it for sure it made me a better person, it absolutely made me a better coach.
Right.
You know, because it's like that one big injury you get that just makes you go, oh, okay, I'm not invincible. You know, right. It's like, oh, this is pretty, this thing that we call a body is pretty fucking frail if we're not careful. You know, and it's, you know, it's that big awakening that we have. You know, where it's like we doing this. Why are you working out? You know, what's your goal? You want to get bigger? You want to get stronger? Okay, that's great. My goal for you is to give you longevity, the likes of which you aren't planning on. And so, well, I can get you big and strong. Why don't we aim for the longevity part first? You know, another one of my sales techniques is, you know, I'll sit down, listen, talk to a client, and go, okay, what are your goals? And listen to your goals. 95% of the time, it's weight loss.
Right.
And then we'll go, okay, well, this is how we're going to go. I really don't give a shit about your goals. My goals are going to trump yours. We're going to work to your goals, and we're going to get you to achieve them. But I'm going to make you move well first. I'm going to make you, you know, do things better than you're doing now. That has to be, you know, it's about safety. It's about, again, longevity, you know.
Right.
After that, yeah, your goals will come up, but those are first. You know? Right. And I like saying that, you know, when I'm selling my services. Okay, just so you know, your goals are secondary in my world. My goals come first for you. You know, and they're like, okay. And then I'm like, and this is why.
Right. Based off your assessment, this is what I see.
This is what I see. Right. We have to get you to do well. So
if you don't do assessments, trainers, you're not a trainer. Assess your clients first. That's
No.
for damn sure. Please.
Yeah. And then, then look, like I am constantly analyzing every movement my client makes.
Right.
How does this look from 2, 4, 6 weeks ago? You know, the squat's getting better, they're getting stronger. And I don't mean like, are they lifting more weight? Because that's a bullshit kind of
Right.
metric to base it on. It's is it a strong squat?
Right.
Are their knees where they're supposed to be? Are their hips where they're supposed to be? Are things moving well? What's the compensations look like? What's the posture look like? Are those things improving? Oh, okay, yeah. You know, if you're not doing that on every goddamn session, man,
Right.
then you suck.
Right.
You know?
You need work.
This isn't a career. Yeah. Again, you're not a professional trainer in my mind. You know?
It's true.
The professional people are out there looking. You know, they're going to assess you. They're going to ask questions. You know, again, their goals, your coach's goals for you are going to surpass yours.
Right. It might not be the order that you want.
Then on the other end of this, you'll get to where you want to go.
Right.
But you know, you should feel better before you get to your goals.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing too is like, what's up?
No, I was listening. Go ahead.
The other thing I was going to say is your goals as a client are going to change. I want to lose weight. Okay. You're going to get about 15 pounds to your goal weight. That's not going to be your goal anymore. Either you want to lose a little bit more weight, or you want to go see if you can run that half marathon, or maybe you want to learn how to do handstands. I want to squat 250 pounds. Okay. Like that shit, you know, I don't talk to a lot of people about my workouts because they're kind of, you know, my workout is whatever. Like, ooh, I lifted 450 pounds today. That's nice. Right. You know, my feeling to that is like, that's your ego talking. I don't really give a shit.
Right.
How'd you lift? Were your lifts good? Okay. Any pain? What was your energy level like? You know, that stuff I care about. That's meaningful to me. How much you lifted, how far you ran, how much you did something. I don't fucking care. Because I know like you're either going to lift more down the road,
right,
or your goals are going to change.
Right.
So that's not important. You know, so when I sit down and talk to friends, especially, again, I got 2 buddies who run, you know, occasionally one of them will sit there and be like, how many miles did you do today? I did 14. How about you? I did 26. Oh, great. And I'm sitting there going, oh. Anybody going to ask how the runs went?
Right.
That's significantly more important than how far you ran.
Right.
You know, were they shitty 14 miles?
Right.
You know, were you feeling pain at the end? Were you feeling pain in the beginning? Like, that's important.
Right.
You know, that's where your longevity is. You feel like running for what? You know, the next year or the next 15?
Right.
Yeah. But that also comes from the fact that I had to not learn how to walk again, but you know, being knocked on my ass the way I was.
Yeah, what was it?
Linwood used to say, like, you know, ego doesn't belong in the gym. And I kind of got that, but now it's like, yeah, it doesn't belong in fitness. It doesn't.
Right.
You know,
it doesn't.
Because it's going to kill you, man. Right. Eventually, it's going to kill you.
Right. You're going to get banged up, man. And it's hard to sell it. It really is hard to sell it in a world of more, faster, bigger, stronger. Or not even the world, the social aspect of seeing it all the time, you know, you kind of get pulled into it pretty fast, and it's hard not to. But you had, it says you talked about your illness. What exactly was it? Like what caused all this? Do you even know?
Nobody has a clue. I am that rare individual that I did 3 years of intensive testing. I had, at one point in time, I had 15 different doctors' phone numbers in my phone. I used to joke that if it ended in ologist, I had seen them, with the exception of gynecologists for obvious reasons. Although I did try to see one just for shits and giggles. But yeah, I've been put in tubes and made to breathe. I've had more things removed from my body than I care to count. I've given more blood than probably anybody you've ever met. And to say that they don't have an idea is an understatement, because they don't even know what specialty to send me to. So they don't even have that much of a clue. So what's essentially going on is that my muscles spasm and contract uncontrollably, which sounds like it could be neurological, but it isn't. Or it's not solely. So things are constantly moving, which also means that things are constantly not moving. Today, like walking to my client at 6 a.m. today, great, getting car horns outside. My knee was killing me. And I was just like, this is par for the course, because something was firing last night and one of the muscles are really tight and one of the muscles aren't. So my patella gets pulled in whatever direction things are getting, what's tight, what's firing, what is it? So my gait from day to day looks incredibly different. And as I'm walking down I'll walk about 6-7 miles a day for clients and stuff. As I'm walking, I have to sit there and kind of analyze, what could be bothering me today? I don't know what I'm going to get from hour to hour with this body, let alone day to day.
Right.
There's 3 types. This is for the general people listening. There's 3 types of muscle. You have skeletal, you have smooth, and you have cardiac. Skeletal is pretty obvious. It's what makes us move, allows us to sit up. Smooth is things like your breathing, your digestion. So it's everything from like your nostrils, your mouth, all the way down out your anus. That's all smooth. And then you have cardiac, which is your heart. Yes, anus. You can't get through. You can't say anus without a little like I
and without a smirk.
Yes. It affects all 3 types. So I have heart palpitations for no particular reason. I have a ton of smooth muscle issues. So my diaphragm, the reason I'm drinking chocolate milk is because if it begins to, if I dip too low in my energy level, it doesn't necessarily spasm, it just doesn't fire. So it could be in a contracted state, or but it's not moving, and if it doesn't move, then I can't breathe. So the involuntary action of your breathing, I have to voluntarily make myself do. So that means I have to force myself to inhale, force myself to exhale, because it's not doing it on its own.
Right. Holy shit.
And then I can't breathe. If I have to do it that way, then 1, I'm not getting enough oxygen.
Right.
Because your oxygen level is metered by the amount of carbon dioxide in your blood. There's a part of your brain that measures that, and so that's how your breathing changes as what's going on with your body. I can't keep up with that. So what is happening is I fatigue. Well, the fatigue makes the breathing issue worse, which makes the fatigue worse, and so it becomes this like cycle of me having to just lie on a couch and sitting up because I can't lie down on my back, and I just have to sit there and just force myself to inhale and exhale until I have enough energy to fall asleep, and then hopefully get everything to. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun, and obviously presents to you some type of when you got diagnosed and really just confused on what to. Can you talk about like how did you feel like mentally, like what happened there? What was that like?
I still don't have a diagnosis. So at one point in time, my first neurologist thought I had multiple sclerosis.
Right.
The issue with my condition is that, with the exception of the muscle spasms, all the secondary symptoms I have, the fatigue, the pain, although the pain I have isn't what normal people with pain deal with, but it could be about 1,000 different illnesses. And so it's really hard to sit there just from like, oh, you have severe fatigue. Oh, you have, migraines and headaches. Oh, it could be this. Yeah, it could be, but it's not. We've ruled out like about 87 things. At this point in time, what we're trying to do, if I ever decide to go back and see doctors, is, you rule everything else out until you have like 4 or 5 things, and then you try to test for those 4 or 5 things. I don't know. I hadn't gone through therapy yet. When I got ill, the way I've explained this in the past is I think there are those of us that have kind of like a spark in us that doesn't allow us to fully be enveloped by darkness. So for me, there was always this optimistic viewpoint that I was going to have, because at that point in time, partially because it's just the nature of who I am, but I think it's also, this was so much bigger than me, right, that if I let this get to me, I wasn't going to get out of that hole. And so I just didn't go down the hole. But that's not, it wasn't a healthy thing I was doing. It was total avoidance, which was my cornerstone of my being for 40 years. I'm not feeling good. I'm going to dance like a fool. I'm not doing this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to throw this towel at the person working the front desk from about 40 feet away because I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Mask it with the pain with fun.
Yeah. Oh my God. Is that the cornerstone of our lives?
The best.
Yeah.
Let's make everyone have a good time, so at least you have some fun.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to be miserable, let me at least have, some laughs while I'm miserable.
Right. Sure.
I think the culmination for me was about 1.5 years into this. I had to get a spinal tap where they just drain some of your spinal fluid. And they did one spinal tap. And when you get a spinal tap, they have to take your blood on the same day so that they can compare the two, look at things like any bacterial infections and yada, yada.
Right.
The first hospital I went to didn't do the blood on the same day. So the spinal tap results were inconclusive. So they figured, hey, listen, you already did one spinal tap. Why don't we do another? I was like, okay. And the first one went pretty smoothly. The second one did not. Men have a thing called a spinal tap headache. Mm-hmm. Men are about 80% more susceptible to it than women. So what ends up happening in your head when you drain spinal fluid is that it changes the pressure in your head because you have less spinal fluid. They were both surgeons from 2 different hospitals, when they were looking at how much fluid they had to take out, both literally said, wow, that's a lot of fluid. So I think, when your surgeon's going, wow, that's how much they want you to take out, that's probably a lot of fluid. Anyway, so the second one, I had severe headaches. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Anything where I was not perfectly horizontal was excruciating. So if I had to go pee, I literally was holding my head because the pain was so bad. God forbid I had to sneeze, cough, take a shit, and push. Anything like that, my head wanted to just explode. And it was like that for 12 days.
Wow.
And around day 9, day 10, I was seriously thinking about suicide. Because it was just, this is what my life looks like.
Right.
This isn't living. This is just suffering physically.
Right. What was the turnaround?
Yeah. So soon after that was, kind of made me just look at my life in general. I'm like, time to go back to therapy. Time to talk to somebody. And then about, 5 months after that was my rock bottom emotionally. Ironically, as my body started to get better, I wasn't. And then, hit my rock bottom. Started on a Friday night. Got dumped. That's how I know. It was a Friday night, so I remember getting dumped. It was a succession of realizations about my life, where all my pain came from, what I've been avoiding all this time. it all came flooding in. And so there was, at that point in time, no barrier between me and all the pain I'd been feeling for 4 years. Figuring out the root cause of it, like, screaming at God, like, why? What did I do that is so bad that I have to go through this? I lived not too far from light rail in Hoboken, the 9th Street light rail. And if you're up in the Heights, there's a passing walkway, like a bridge walkway that takes you to an elevator that goes about 15 stories down.
Yes.
I tried to climb up that thing, or wanted to, so that I could possibly hurt myself from that point. And I walked to it, and I was looking and trying to climb up the side of it when I woke up to homeless guys who were sleeping nearby. That I woke up, and so that kept me from climbing the side of the building. So I went back into my bedroom, and then just kind of felt like even if I did die, like this pain was just going to follow me wherever I went. So there was really no escape, like just complete utter loss of faith in everything.
Right.
But thankfully I was already in therapy. My therapist, I reached out to her. She's like, just let's come in Monday. Let's talk about it. And then from that point on, it was just me working on me. I'm still doing it.
Right.
Not the part, but, still analyzing, still, dressing my emotions, still kind of figuring out what my emotions are, because you live long enough avoiding them. You don't know how to label a lot of things until, there's a whole skill set that if you don't have a safe place to explore them, you don't learn those skills. And that was where I was at.
Right.
And so, it's learning to identify what I'm feeling, and then identify what's causing that, and then figure out what to do because of that. That's slow, like piece by piece by piece, and just work my ass off. And that's
right.
I had enough knowledge about psychology, and I'm going to dive into this as much as I can. I'm going to be as honest as I can most of the time. And then, one day it's, I had a 2016. No, it's 2017. Sorry. I don't know. It was around then. I was having a great year in the beginning physically. And then at the end of it, was walking with a cane for like the first time in 3.5 years. And there's a couple things I just wasn't doing for myself, and I just didn't think I needed to anymore because I was feeling so good. And then things slowly started to get worse with me physically. The problem without not having a diagnosis is I'm learning this shit as I go about my body. Like I just have to learn what the signals are, and I have to learn minutia that most people aren't going to ever have to explore. I'm in pain so often. And so when I'm working out, I have to be able to decipher, am I in pain from my disease, or am I in pain because I'm doing a lift incorrect? The minutia that takes is stupid.
No way. So you have a tattoo that I see.
I do.
Yeah. Can you explain it?
So when it says resilient,
yes, tattoo talk.
Yeah. Early on when I got sick, that kind of became a thing. Like I keep, I think it's true with everybody. We take shots and we keep going. As a tattooed individual, some of your tattoos are for you. They're not for, they're there to remind you of something. This is to remind me that, when I'm in an excruciating pain and I'm lying in a fetal position and I'm kind of going, oh God, please hurry up and get this over with. Or, something's just aggravating me physically for 4 straight days. And I just have to like grind through shit that I'll get to the other side of this. I just have to take this and keep going, and then use this to better me, to understand me more. Kind of like the therapy, understand that usually when there's pain, there's a cause, and you have to figure out what that cause is. And when you can do that, there's a lot of lessons to learn. So it's the resilient. And so I want to get a whole sleeve in. COVID kind of made that tougher.
Right.
So
I love it. I love it. It's my favorite word. Saving your what?
Great. I'm saving my pennies for a whole sleeve.
Yes. That's pretty big. I think so. The whole form. It looks like you have large arms too. It's not like you don't have like this shape. Nice, man. I like the design, like the embossed, like it's it's your skin in the middle.
The guy who did it was my guy I grew up with. He has two tattoo parlors, one in Amsterdam, one on Long Island.
Wow. And
so he comes out every now and then.
Paul's from Long Island, by the way.
Yeah, I'm from Long Island. Strong Island. Made that place, be washed out to the ocean. And so he comes out every now and then, and we had been talking online, and I told him, like, listen, I'm sick, and there's this tattoo I've always wanted to kind of get since I've been sick. And it took us about 4 years to meet up. And,
nice.
And it was great. So we got to catch up, talked about our battles, talked about our childhood. He'd been through the ringer himself. But is in a good place,
right.
Kind of like us. Right. The warrior tale.
Yes.
Literally what I want to get up here on my sleeve is kind of, I'm going to leave it up. I have two artists that I'm following, and hopefully we'll get one of them to do it. And let them interpret this. I'm like, I want a tired warrior. I want that of somebody who has just fought and is tired of fighting. But somehow they're going to pick up the sword and fight again. That's what I want.
That's great.
And everything else is just filler in between the resilience.
Fuck, that's good. Oh my God, that's really good. Fuck, that's good. I have no other words except for fuck, that's good. It just has so much meaning. Like when you see it.
It's just, and it's one of those things where, my life is similar to a lot of people, but there's this invisible shit that we're going through. Like, I have an invisible disease. You see me down the street, generally I look pretty healthy. I have, really good masking techniques, so you generally don't know how shitty I feel. You're not going to know how bad it is, because when it's really bad, I can't get off the fucking couch. Some days I can't get off the floor. So, like, you're not going to see me on my bad days. So when you see me, you can't understand that this disease is, like, at times trying to kill me. And then going through what I did emotionally is the same thing. You can't see that shit. Anybody who's going through mental health issues, unless they're really out there, like they have some kind of severe issue, you're not going to see the depression, because we learn to mask that shit. When it's bad, we don't leave the house. It's the same thing. It's this invisible shit that we go through, and we all go through it. Nobody's not at some point in time depressed. Nobody's not at some point in time dealing with something that they don't want to deal with. Wait till somebody you love dies. It's not fun, and yet you still have to go to work. You still have to, carry this, and you have all this other shit with you. We all are going through, so it's that tired warrior. It's that.
Right.
All right, let me pick my shit up.
Right. Like in a battle.
It really is. And so hopefully by this time next year, I'll have that sleeve done.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That's dope. That's dope. That's a great way to finish. Do you have anything else that you want to say? Did you have anything? So the question I always ask is there anything that we didn't talk about, or like, is there a question that I didn't ask that I wish you asked, or a motorcycle ripped by like Fast and Furious 75? What the fuck's wrong with you people in this fucking bikes and like Honda Civics are here every day.
I get that. I'm surprised you didn't hear a couple of the things when time went on. Like, I'm really close to an intersection, and in New Jersey, it's like the light turns green, the guy behind you honks.
Yes.
It's like, you didn't move yet. Like, it's been green for a nanosecond. Like, dear God, slow down. No, because you know what it is? Like, the one thing, I love doing this, and by all means, like anytime, like seriously, anytime, I love to, we can talk more about coaching or anything. But I would say I like to hear from other people. What questions do they have? That's really where I'm at this point in time. After dealing with like 2 breakups back to back, I briefly jumped on Match.com, but I didn't want anybody to know who I was, because I wasn't really going to do online dating, because you can't put like you, like our personality doesn't come across well in written phrases. So instead of putting my name on it, I called myself Paulie Poopy Pants and didn't put my picture up there. So I kept getting like emails from Match.com, like, Paulie Poopy Pants, this person's interested in you. Paulie Poopy Pants. I'm like, oh my God, this joke backfired tremendously. But yet, to me, and I'm like, I have no picture. I have like a half-filled bio, and my name is Paulie Poopy Pants. And
you're still. The unknown is intriguing.
Yeah. Right? I think I ended up accidentally peacocking.
So you want to hear from other people? Like, what do they want to?
Whether it's about dealing with chronic illness and the mindset that you're going to need, because I'm very passionate about people who, especially if you're just getting diagnosed, what does your life look like? And dealing with the repercussions of what it's like when your identity has to change. Because when you get chronically ill, one of the things that you realize is the life that you thought you were going to lead and what you thought your life was going to look like changes.
Yes.
And so how do you deal with it? Whether it's coaching, what makes a decent coach, which is usually in one word, compassion, but to how do you become a better coach? I'm really big into that. And then it's, on the mental health thing, it's, neither you or I are a therapist, but we've gotten the shit kicked out of us. Right. And you get your shit kicked out of you enough, you can kind of, talk to that boxer who's lost most of the rounds that he's ever fought. And while he might not be the greatest boxer that's ever been in the ring, he can teach you a thing or two. He's got the shit kicked out. So it's that kind of thing.
Life experience.
Yeah, I'm here for others. I'm just here for others. That's really, at the end of the day, my goal in life is to be of service to others.
Bet.
And so, ask questions, man.
Ask questions.
I would get my email out in case anybody wants to have any discussions.
Yeah.
I'm totally done with that shit.
Hell yeah. I mean, if anyone has any questions, like, I don't know what platform you're going to see, email us, contact, whatever, you can always push it out. And it's always important to ask the question, and sometimes you don't have that person, like you said, sometimes you need that safe space where you can release, have an outlet, whether it should be, I would say, go to therapy, find a therapist, right? But if it's not that time for you yet, maybe just reach out to someone else, and maybe it could be us, so if you have something that's underlying, something you got to talk about, something you want to get off your shoulder, we've been around.
We're compassionate men, and we understand a lot. And the stuff that we don't, we're going to at least be here to listen to you. And if we can figure out something for you, we will.
Right.
Where to direct you.
Right.
You're not in this alone. Whether it's a professional question, whether it's a question on exercising, or just, you're tired of getting the shit kicked out of you.
Tired warrior. Fucking I don't want to say the word epic because I'm not gonna. It's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like I should have changed. Now I'm like, oh, that would have been a better name than I have for my business.
It's all good. It's all good. You have oh, what was I gonna say? Shoot. I said shoot. That's all right. I forgot. All right, guys. Well, we're going to close this one up. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for being a part of this. I do appreciate your words. Like I said, he's very intelligent. He knows what he's talking about, and he's been through the ringer, you know, so just someone that I know you can relate to, and I'm glad he was here today. This is episode number 69. We cannot wait till you guys come back for next week. I am Coach Pete, Jersey to Vegas podcast. If you haven't, make sure you check out our Patreon. Our Patreon is, you could try petespatreon.com. I made that website backlink, so it might work. If not, patreon.com/Jersey to Vegas. Help support the channel. I want to shout out two people that just signed up. We have Andrea B and Ray F. Thank you so much. And if you go to jerseytovegas.com, you can see the nice hoodie that Paul's wearing right now. Definitely grab some of the old Krank gear, some new Krank gear, and some other random sayings that are up there. And yeah, man, I'm really happy to have you on today. And I'm happy we got to connect for the first time. We've been connecting on Instagram for the past like 7 years, but that's it. You know, so
yeah, we haven't had a good time for long.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you. Don't hang up. Yeah, man. I'll see you guys later. Peace out, Cub Scouts.
Think about me one more time before you go. Someday you'll know. Someday you'll know. Already know what I'm going to say. I've been feeling this way for far too long.